Are we at the top of an hour, boys? Or the top of a
No,
turn,
we are at the
rather?
beginning of a new turn. We're at the beginning of the 520 turn.
That's pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
It is
So,
indeed, indeed. How's everyone this week? Now that the farm report is complete?
yep, yep. Well, everybody's fine and dandy. I
Doing well on
finished
my side.
yeah,
Good.
completed a week of archery camp where none of
Missed the
my students
last
got
couple
shot,
weeks with
so
you
that's
guys.
good.
I apologize. Family things got in the way of those Sunday evenings.
Oh,
Oh, well, it's a shame when things get in the way of important stuff, but I mean it happens.
But I did do
Uh,
one thing in the interim. I became so interested in those games, Minden and Torgau, I ordered them.
aha! Well, I
So
pushed a little cardboard at Minden today, and I've decided that now that I have pushed enough cardboard, I'm going to go back and reread the rules, and they'll all make more sense to me now that I've had a chance to attempt to apply them a little bit.
that's not always the case.
that's good.
That's
Yes,
it.
someone had commented in the and I think the live stream last week that they had a
And
favorable
I also
impression of those
finished
new games.
reading the rules for Battles from the Age of Reason, but I won't say that I feel any smarter after reading them than I did before.
You know what? Most all of the games, though, come with a couple of introductory scenarios, and I absolutely encourage people to take advantage of them. There's very often like an infantry only battle, a little small battle, and that just makes it so much easier, right? Because that means that the vast majority of the rule book you can ignore. You don't need it. Um, it also means that you're already deployed, and all you need to do is just, advance to contact. And so definitely take advantage of those because, yeah, it's a ton of rules and it's going to take a while to absorb. But anyway, so no, I had a good time. I got Torgau just the other day and got the updated Minden map, which I will say, yeah, it's better. It still could be better than it is, but I mean, it's decidedly better. And so yeah, I just started pushing some counters, and it's I'm kind of grooving on the long brigade counters that are 2 or 3 or even 4 hexes long,
Oh,
um, kind of really enforcing that linearity. Units can leave those brigades, but it's a disadvantage to do so.
Hmm.
And so I just think it's a clever way of kind of doing what Bar does, but Bar kind of gives you a different set of incentives. You're welcome to maneuver them all independently, but you'll suffer some if you do. So anyway, it's been fun. I've enjoyed that. Like I said, I'm going to reread, and I suspect it'll all start to click a little better once I've tried to apply them. And anyway, so we'll see how that goes.
do you think
David
Bar
here.
complicated than the Minden Torgau or not?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question, please.
Do you think the bar is more complicated than Minden
I
Torgau?
I think the rules are vastly more complete, which makes them much, much longer. I think they're also more complicated. There's more details worked into them. But I don't think that you should look at them and just assume that it's that much more complicated because of the extended length. Because I can tell already from reading the Minden and Torgau rules that there are a goodly number of questions that people have come up with because there are things that either were stated in a incompletely clear way, or perhaps the translation from the original French wasn't really everything it should have been. Um, it seems like the language isn't quite as precise as as it is in bar, where it's pretty unusual to find a rule where you are puzzled by the ambiguity. And in this case, I kind of feel like there are a lot of them where I go, really, really, what do you mean there? So anyway, but it obviously, I got to the end of the rules today as I was looking around for stuff, and I was like, oh, there really aren't that many rules here. Not really. And I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna have to reread them all and try to collect them all in mind, so I can hold them all in one place and decide uh, what the rational thing to do is for the French here. thinking that they're walking into a very small group of Prussian units and turning out to be quite wrong. So it'll be interesting.
What year is Torgau?
Torgau 1760. It's
Okay.
one of the later battles. For all that the war went on a couple of years past that, really the big battles all happened in the early and middle part of the 7 Years' War.
Right.
Torgau was probably maybe the biggest in total, and so I'm very much looking forward to it. Minden I didn't know anything about. It was important because it meant that Frederick didn't have to come save Hanover again.
Right.
The troops that Frederick had sent, along with the Hanoverians, were able to save themselves, and so that was obviously a big plus for him. But so Minden was 1759, and then Torgau was 1760, and after that, I think the war lost a lot of momentum just because, well, everybody was out of money.
Right.
Which gets to be a problem after a while. And then obviously when Tsarina Elizabeth dies and then they lose all interest in being in the war, then that was the final straw that ended the war because everyone was exhausted. And now that the Russians weren't going to help out, there was really no point. It was time to just start making deals.
Right.
So anyway. But on the other hand, I think we can maybe end the 7 Years' War a lot earlier here. We'll have to rename it.
It would just be the 1 Year War.
I think we just need to shatter the Prussian army here, and we can get it over with in a hurry.
Well, or you rule something where Frederick does more than just fall off his horse.
Well, we can't rule that out. I mean, that is still a possibility.
Wasn't there some special thing where a leader gets wounded or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember exactly which one it is. It is fate.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
on the leader loss table. So anytime there's a special result that's an even number,
right?
One of the fire
right.
Special results that's an even number that results in a leader loss roll. Your roll is 0. It's pick any enemy leader. Any.
Right.
Doesn't need to be in a line of fire. Doesn't need to be nothing. And then of course you still have to roll a 0 or a 1. So yeah, the odds aren't great.
Right.
But just to tell you what happens when the odds aren't great, there was a game of Fontenoy at Consim World. Boy, it's been years, probably 2014 if I had to guess, when Fontenoy was new.
Right.
And the Infernal Column had been formed, and forward goes
Cumberland, right?
the Duke of Cumberland,
Right,
that's
yeah.
right. And then he gets killed. And then later that same turn, his second in command, whose name currently escapes me, Campbell, maybe? Campbell? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They both get whacked.
Oh my
The
gosh.
game's over. The game's over. And it was both of them were one of those things where it's like it needed to be like a 1 in 500 chance. And
Wow.
oh well, what are you gonna do? The uproarious laughter from the table I can still hear.
I'll bet.
And to me, that's the whole spirit of bar, is you're laughing, even if it happened to you. Because it's like, well, I mean, you can't blame me. It's just like,
Right.
that's nuts. What are you going to do,
Yeah.
right?
It's the dice.
So you just laugh and you
Yeah.
laugh and away you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my spirit about all this foolishness, which is why I don't mind continuing this suicidal attack.
There you go.
All
Well,
right, I'm going to chuck some dice.
throw some dice.
Move your
There we go.
mice.
Now, what is it, even right now?
No, you guys have a
don't-
+1.
With one.
That's right.
Yeah, but
It's
you
plus
rolled a
one.
27, so it's definitely yours. And it's a wing
In fact,
activation
it's a wing
if you
for
want
us
it.
if we want it. And now that we're actually in contact, maybe a wing would be interesting. So let's look carefully, David, see what would make good sense for striking first.
want to go down to
Sure,
headquarters?
why not? Let's go, and Eric can do his juggling.
Oh, there we
Ah.
go.
It'll be great. We're going to the Prussian HQ. See ya.
All right, those of you that are joining our game here, the farm report from last week, we have decided to dispense with that this week. Enough about chickens. And instead, we're talking about chickens coming home to roost here at the Battle of Kolin. So we've got the situation at the beginning of the 520 turn is that the Prussian cavalry has done a pretty good job hammering the Austrian cavalry out on the Austrian right wing. And we've been trying to do what we can to hold on to that, but there's a good chance that they're all going to get pretty badly beaten up again. On the bright side, though, we've got our line holding there along the hill. We did repulse a cavalry charge. We've repulsed some infantry, although there is still more infantry and cavalry coming up to backstop all of that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Prussians decide to do. They've been shifting more troops over towards their left to try to come in and hit this part of the line. And we've got reinforcements that are heading over that way to try to do what they can to salvage the situation so that we don't end up having cavalry behind us and wreaking havoc everywhere there on that part of the line. So that's the situation. And joining me in studio is none other than Mr. Perry. Perry, how are you doing? Uh-oh, Perry's decided he's not going to chat. Oh, I guess I have to keep vamping then. The Austrian cavalry is pretty badly mangled.
Eric, how are you?
I'm doing well, Perry. I was going to throw it over to you and just chat a little bit while the Prussians are off having their big powwow trying to figure out what evil things to do to the Austrians. What sort of questions do you have so far about the game, about this particular battle? You've been watching this since I think we started a few months ago. Did you have any questions, Perry, or any comments?
Um,
You're dropping out. I don't know if it's your microphone or
Well, all I can say, gentlemen,
something
is
else.
that this decision was apparently very intense because Dave had to run to the bathroom.
Oh my goodness!
So
I
I'm going to
thought-
go back to the tent.
I thought this.
But apparently, this is an extremely intense.
It should not be a challenging issue at all. It should be a piece of cake.
I'm kind of inclined to agree, but
Yeah.
he had some other things he was balancing against
Oh,
that. So
okay.
you know what? If you will just agree, Eric,
Yes.
to roll well enough for the second activation, then we can really relax him quite a lot.
Okay.
Okay?
Is
All right,
that
I'm
what
gonna go
he's
back
worried
over
about,
there.
getting 2 activations in a row?
No, I am, not him.
Oh, I see.
I'm gonna go off and talk to him again. So yeah.
All right, Michael. All right. So Perry, you dropped out there for a second, but for other people that are tuning in, if any of you have questions about what's going on, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be happy to try to answer them for you. But the situation has been very quiet out on the Austrian left wing. We sort of have cavalry parity there, and the Prussians decided not to attack along that section of the front. And they do have some infantry and artillery over here opposite this one hill. But it really has just been kind of chewed up by my grenzers, and I don't see them really doing much. It looks like the main assault is going to happen sort of here in the center. And so we just have to kind of do what we can to get things ready for all of that excitement. And in the meantime, there's been lots of combat out on the Austrian right flank. And I'm trying to send what cavalry I have left over to that part of the universe to try to help stabilize the situation. And so that's kind of what's happening with things in that part of the world. That's about it.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Perry.
Okay, yeah, I was having some problems with audio there for a bit, but hopefully I've solved that.
Well, good. So, did you have any questions about the game, the battle, anything in particular that you've got that you wanted to make a comment about or ask a question about?
I don't think so at the moment. I kind of read through the rules, finished reading the rules before this evening, but there tends to be so much of it and so many specifics associated with each rule. I kind of got lost in the weeds there. I am curious about the hook and the use of that and the movement during the hook, I think is what it was called. I forget.
Right. Yeah. Usually, when you are in the hook, the idea is that you have you're kind of stuck in place. So you're not going to be moving anymore, and you have to come out of hook in order to then try to maneuver again. So with some games, they have an idea of, okay, you're in line, and if you've got this other unit next to you and it's exerting a zone of influence out into what would be your flank, then you have a refused flank. And so, for example, in La Bataille, that's a fairly common concept that's used in the Regs, Marie-Louise, and Premier rules, that therefore kind of, you don't have to put an extra counter on it or anything like that. It just kind of understood that that unit in line, it doesn't just have its flank hanging out there, but it would be in theory kind of turning, and there's not, a hex grid imposed on the universe. With this, if you go to the fire combat table and you take a look to see what the hook, sort of hook strength and things like that look like, it's then going to show you down towards the bottom of the table how that fire works. So because you have a hook, the hex that would be adjacent to what would have been your flank hex, you can only fire 50% out, or 2 increments out, and then the one that would have been your front on the other side is 50%. So it kind of has them divvied up so you can get a sense of what your fire value is. So the hook has some benefit in that you're not getting caught in the flank, which is a problem for trying to pass a morale check and fight and all that stuff. You do have some fire that's coming out of it, but it's not as strong. But that's how they do deal with that here in this. They have an actual counter that you put on showing either a left hook or a right hook, and then that lets both players know that that hex that would have been previously understood as a flank hex kind of is turned, and it would be considered a front hex. And so usually what you're going to be doing is you're going to move your unit, and then you'll spend 1 point to put a hook on it at the very end. Because once you do that, then it can't move anymore. And then if you want to move it, then you take it out of hook,
Right.
and then you would move it, however it is that you want to shift it around. So
Is always on the outside, protecting the flank.
correct. Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah, and as I said, it's the one thing that's kind of nice with this game system is, yes, it's very detailed, but it's also very exact. So therefore, if you don't have that hook marker there, your flank is hanging out into space, kind of a thing. So that's something to think about. And that does definitely sort of set this particular battalion level game system apart from some of the others, where they're using some other game conventions to get across, what's happening, if you want to think of it that way.
used in conjunction with any other formation, or is it just strictly hook on a line?
You're only using it in line, and for the most part, unless you are in movement column, there's not a lot of occasions to use or to do a attack column. So unlike the Napoleonic era, where you've got the bulk of the troops kind of maneuvering in column, and sometimes they're attacking in column, but a lot of times, most of the time, they're moving in column. Here, they're not, unless they're making their way from one part of the battlefield to the other, usually they are maneuvering in line. And so just the pace of these games is much, much different than the pace for the La Bataille games, which is the same scale, but because of the innovations that happened as a result of the French Revolution and the reorganization of the French army, the sort of things that are forcing everything to be very rigid in this time period, particularly with infantry moving, are abandoned first by the French, and then after a while they're abandoned by everybody else when they see how well the French are dealing with everything.
Right.
Yeah. So that's something.
Okay. Now, yeah, I did find the rules were not difficult to understand. That just so many of them at each step of the SOP that I can see myself. I'm going to be constantly referring to the rules as I play.
Yeah, and you can download the rules. I believe they are available to purchase digitally on Wargame Vault, and so you can get
And
a
I did
digital
do
copy, or if you have a more recent set of the games, they have at least. I mean, I've got the 3rd edition rules. I think the digital copy may be version 3.3 or 3.2 or something like that. So there might be a few slight changes with that rule set from what it was before. So that's kind of what to think about with the rules. But until you actually start to play it, it's kind of hard to really get a sense of it all. It's once you start to kind of move stuff around and realize, oh, okay, this is what's happening here, or that's what's happening there, and you can kind of, sort out the situation a little bit better. That's when it all starts to make sense.
That's what makes these sessions valuable to me. Is just watching you guys play. It kind of brings the rules to life. So you understand them better seeing them put into action.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's, when I first started playing, I had watched David and Michael play a couple of other games on Vassal. I would just tune in from time to time and kind of watch them play and ask them some questions to get a sense of how it was. And then I started playing a game, and it was Brandywine. And what was nice about it was there's no cavalry. So it was just infantry, and so I kind of got a feel for how to maneuver the infantry around and the artillery, and kind of, we did some combat and had the usual sort of nightmare where you have a 5-to-1 attack suddenly go completely off the rails because you rolled a 0, and the Americans get off the hook, and I think my Hessians, all got slaughtered pretty badly. But it's part of the fun of it is those sort of surprises. And then I read the rules, or read through a chunk of the rules. So I've been learning more, by immersion than necessarily by reading the rules. And I've paid for it a few times because I've done silly, crazy things that if I knew the rules better, I'd be like, oh, I could have saved that unit, or I could have done this better. But to a certain extent, I'm kind of messing around to test things out and see what works and what doesn't work, so I get a better idea of how to move things around, or how to try to do stuff.
How's your juggling?
My juggling is terrible.
I'm
All
gonna be
right.
a moment, fellas. I've got
Okay.
a phone call here. So.
All good. It's that pesky Father's Day call.
Apparently.
From your-
Well,
Just a second.
I got a Father's Day text from my eldest just now.
well, that's very nice. I'm still waiting on one of my children to say hello. So I'm sure I will get a text at some point in time. But they're the one that's working now as a tour guide on the Queen Mary. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So he's memorized the historical, a couple of the historical tours, and then they also have a couple of paranormal tours.
Okay, why
Yeah.
not?
Well, and this is the big draw for a lot of people, is this idea that
It's
it's
haunted.
haunted. There were
Mm.
a certain number of people who died on board, or there were accidents, or there were whatever that happened, and so therefore
Right.
they talk about this, and whatever floats your boat. But yeah, so there's people that tune in for this paranormal tour, and apparently they're very popular. And
Okay.
and then a big chunk of the Queen Mary is a hotel and restaurant and bar and stuff like that.
Ah,
So
okay.
yeah, so it's, I mean, I was on the Queen Mary when I was a kid, like 50 some odd years ago. So I haven't been on it since. And what was interesting was my father's business partner was one of the GIs taken across to England pre D-Day on the Queen Mary.
Okay.
And so when we were there, they had a big display, and they had one of the rooms set up as if that's where the GIs would be. So it had bunks, and it had,
Wow.
kind of the uniforms and paraphernalia and whatnot that the guys would have had during that time when it was a troop ship.
Right.
So I remember that part of it, but yeah, I haven't been there since. So apparently I will. My son's going to be turning 21 here next month, and he said I've got to go buy him a drink at this bar that's at the top of the
Oh,
that used to be like
okay.
first class smoking salon or whatever it was.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
got,
yeah.
I guess, a fantastic view of Long Beach Harbor, and it's very
very
posh
nice.
and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, we'll find out how posh it is if they can make a Vesper martini.
Ooh.
Yeah, if they make a
Okay
Vesper
then.
martini, then they will definitely
Then
meet
then
the
that's
posh
that's it.
quota. Not just a regular martini. It's got to be a Vesper
That's fun.
martini.
I don't even
So
know what that means, but okay, I believe you.
it's got. So if you did you ever read the James Bond novels or anything
No.
It's
like that?
from James
Oh,
Bond.
yeah. So
Uh,
it is from James Bond. It is a type of martini, and
mm.
James Bond's girlfriend he marries, who ends up getting killed. Her name was Vesper. And
Okay.
so I'm not sure which came first. If Ian Fleming named the character after the martini, or the martini got
I
named
see.
after the character. I'm not sure
One of
which.
those. One of those. Sure. Okay.
But it is an amazing martini, and it's got
Okay.
some other little liqueur in it that makes it so smooth that you
Interesting.
yes yeah. So if you ever go to a high end bar and
Yeah.
you ask then for a Vesper martini, you may get
Okay.
something. In which case, it's worth the price of admission.
Well, now I'm going to have to go hunt around. Now I'm fascinated. My parents were flying Alitalia to Rome many years ago. Let's
Right.
say 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Dad asked for a couple of martinis. Unfortunately, the English to Italian translation don't work too good
Right.
because what they get is 2 glasses of vermouth,
Oh my God.
as
Martini and
in
Rossi Vermouth.
that's exactly correct. And of course, that stuff is all but undrinkable.
Yeah.
So just got to be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Well, I ran into that when I was on an exchange program to West Germany back in the 80s.
Ah,
The family I was with, we went to a pizzeria, an Italian restaurant, whatever, and ordered pizza. And so we were
okay.
all ordering like an individual pizza. And so I ordered a pepperoni pizza because I'm used to, that's
Sure.
a pepperoni pizza. Yeah, everyone knows what a pepperoni pizza. I get this thing, and it's got peppercini on it. It's got like jalapeno peppers on it.
Oh no!
And I'm like, I
What the
hate
hell is
jalapeno
this?
peppers, and yet here I've
Yeah.
ordered this. I'm with this German family.
What are you
I
gonna do?
have to stomach this horrible
Yeah.
pizza out of to try to maintain U.S. West German relations.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't want to cause an international
yeah,
incident
no, I
here.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like President Bush barfing there and on the
Yeah,
Japanese Prime
yeah,
Minister's lap, kind of a thing.
it's not okay. Not
No,
okay.
not at all.
That's
So
funny. That is funny.
yeah. So needless
Okay,
to say.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. We've already moved
Marvelous.
on. It's time for me to
Yeah.
roll now.
Yeah, it's time for Eric to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
All right. So we're gonna do Trescow's wing here.
Trescow's wing. So
Trescow's wing.
where is Trescow? He's over there somewhere. Okay, there's
Right in the
Trescow.
middle.
Okay.
And I'm gonna also activate these grenadiers over here.
Okay.
And that artillery there.
Exciting.
And that artillery there.
I mean, why
Okay.
not, right? Go
Live on the
nuts.
edge. So where are Trescow's? Is everybody stacked with him, or does he have
No,
multiple leaders?
one of his commanders has run away with a routed unit
One-
back there by the
One
king.
is up here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If a leader is with a unit that's routing, the leader has to go, but the leader's not obliged to stay
Right.
with the routed unit. So now that he's activated, the leader can peel away. If
Right.
he'd rather actually be involved in the battle, do his duty for king and country, yeah,
There
maybe
you
he
go.
could do that. Yeah.
All right. And so
All right.
then the guy who's there is Braunschweig, is that correct?
Mhm.
So then Braunschweig's guys can move, I guess, and everybody else would be well, I mean they can still fire and they can do stuff, but they're out of command, right? The Ingersoll's guy?
Yeah, those guys are all out of command. They can still
Okay.
fire. They move half, although movement's really not germane here. They can't conduct close assaults because they're out
Okay.
of command.
Okay.
That's the downside of all that. But what you're gonna do.
All right.
All right.
right,
Well,
so
go
I
ahead and shoot
think I
your
only-
shoot your stuff.
Yeah. I think I only had one disorder, and he was with a
Yep.
commander, so he
Oh, right.
discarded.
Yep. Right. So that's
So
easy.
now I guess we're at fire, right?
That's
Yep.
right. Time to
All
do a
right.
little shooting.
So these 12-pounders
Mm-hmm.
are going to shoot at these guys here.
Okay. So
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And that's going to be times 5. So you will have 4 times 5. You'll have 20 to 10. You'll have a 2 to 1 with what, a minus something for them being skirmishers, right?
Minus 10.
Minus 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 2 to 1 with a minus 10.
Wow.
77 becomes a 67.
67.
2 to 1.
That should
That
be
looks
enough
like
to
it's
vaporize that
one.
last unit.
Yeah, that's 1 hit.
Yeah. That was the
All
last
right.
increment for that guy.
Yep. All right. We will send
Each
him
one of
off.
them took a 12-pounder ball to the head.
There are only a few of them left anyway. Where's the thing where it sends them straight to the graveyard under movement? There we go. All right.
Under movement. What do we? Well, I guess we're moving them to the graveyard.
Yeah, well, and
guess.
I noticed it when I was clicking around on something before. I'm like, oh, what's this graveyard thing? And I'm like, oh, it must just send them straight to the graveyard, and that's exactly what it did. So
Oh,
instead
you
of-
mean you've been manually dragging
I've been
them to the
manually
graveyard
opening
window?
the graveyard, dragging them over and dropping them
Oh.
off
Okay, sure.
because I didn't realize that that's what that little thing did. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That
All
makes
right.
sense.
So next, I guess this little guy here is going to fire on here.
okay, so he's just a regular
Be a
old
1 to 1.
fusilier or
12.
musketeer.
10.
Okay.
Yeah, so 12 to 10, so 1 to 1.
No pluses, no minuses.
Oh, that's a big hit.
Ooh, that's a hit.
That's a hit and a morale check.
Hit and a morale check, and it's going to be at what? What are you at? +3? Is that right?
I've got a +3,
Oh.
and is there any plus for me being disordered as well, or is just the?
Yeah,
+3?
it's another +5 there, so it's
Okay.
+8 altogether.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, special something or other.
It's a special result of fire combat. Special result is valid, so I guess we need to figure out what it is. It's
morale check.
fire combat result A.
Okay. A
0-8 for the Austrians. If he's stacked with a leader, it's passed. Otherwise, he re-rolls with a +10.
And +10. Okay. Well, here we go. 41.
Ooh, don't know. How good is he?
Well, as long as he's not a 31. Oh, he's
Oh!
not good enough.
Oh, okay.
All right,
So he's
so
now shaken and
Shaken
disordered.
and disordered.
Okay.
Stirred but not
He's
shaken.
shaken all over.
Cool. All right.
Well, that was big shooting. All
That
right, very
was.
nice.
That was. Who's
All right.
next?
All right. These two are going to fire on this guy here.
Not a surprise.
Oh, that is 8 times 4. Yeah, it is. That's 8
Musketeers.
times 4. Yeah,
Musketeers, yeah, they're times 4. So that's going to be a 3 to 1 shot.
3 to 1.
No
Big
pluses,
time.
no minuses. 62, that's probably good enough for a hit and a morale check, I imagine. 3 to 1. Yep. Oh, that's actually 2 hits.
2 hits.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
2 hits, and that probably means the morale check's going to be +10.
Yes, that's what it says.
Yeah.
So it's +10 +3 for the
Plus
army morale.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
31 now. They're going to be
Oi.
shaken.
Oy, okay. Wow.
I should not even bother to roll. I'll just go straight to putting a
Just
shaken marker on them.
Flip them over.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. All right. What else we got?
All right. So I guess we did those two. So now we're going to have, let's see. This guy is going to shoot at this here, I guess.
Okay.
It's
So
gonna be 1 to 1
That's,
plus something for size.
right. So 4 times 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll
Right,
be
so
1 to
that's
1
gonna
there.
be 12, a 1 to 1, and then I've got 5 increments of infantry and 1 increment of artillery. So that's going to be
a
9.
All
So
right.
that will give you a plus 10. So 1 to
So
1
1
with
to
a
1
plus 10.
plus 10.
Yeah. Plus 10.
Oh, there's
Oh
all the
my
big
gosh.
numbers.
No kidding.
So
That's only
that's
one
gonna
hit,
be
though.
a-
No, it's not, because it's
Two.
now over 100. That's right.
Yep.
So it's 2 hits, but no
2
morale
hits.
check. So,
Oh,
what
this is
happens?
exactly, and that I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
So what happens is when infantry and artillery are stacked and they get hit by infantry fire combat,
Right,
the infantry take the first step loss.
right.
The
So like
guns take
Labatai.
the second step loss.
Okay.
So in this case, because there were you could keep hitting it with 1 forever and the guns would never get knocked out.
Right,
But if you hit it with a 2, you lose an increment of guns.
right. Cool. Yeah, we haven't had that occasion yet.
No, I don't think we have. For all that we've played a lot, we keep coming up with new situations, don't we?
All right, we'll keep rolling those 97s, Dave.
Yeah, I will.
Oh man, I
That's
tell you
right.
what, we's going to need to on this next one.
Yeah. So I guess I'll.
There's 3 increments in that one, so 3 times 3 is 9. So it's going to be 1 to 1.5 against whichever the target is.
It doesn't matter. It's the same because they're spread out over those 2 hexes, right?
Right. Yeah. Actually, that's really interesting. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So
Yeah,
I'm
you're
at
right.
7.
Yeah, it'd be 5, 6,
Yeah,
7.
so there's no
right.
pluses.
So
It's just a 1 to 1.
exactly. So just go ahead. Well, it's 1 to 1.5 because it's 9 to 10. So it's
Oh,
1 to
okay.
1.5
1.5.
because they're fusiliers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and okay, so yep.
Press the button.
Yeah.
56.
That's not going to be.
Nope. That's nothing.
Nope. All righty.
So, quick question for you with the
Yep.
because it has there that little R button now or little R result. Not on this one,
Yes.
but it's there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I know we haven't been playing with the R result,
That's right.
but if you were playing with that R result, would this be then that would be then where your opponent gets to shoot back at you?
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Right. And the truth is it's surprising how rare it is that you roll an even number. But so if he had rolled a 40, for example, then according to the optional rule, then you'd actually get to shoot back.
Oh,
If he rolled a 90, he would have hit you and you'd have gotten to shoot back.
Okay.
I think I like that optional rule because why is it that return fire is its own thing? It just seems weird to me that it's like only if you miss does the enemy get to shoot back. Only if you miss, but you almost hit. What does that even mean? And so to me, I like it. If there's a 0 at the end, that's a return result. Obviously, it's only a return result on offensive fire, right? Because there is no R result for opportunity or defensive fire. And it just doesn't, it turns out it's amazing how rarely it happens.
Right. All right.
But
you
it's
got one
always
more
nice
shot,
to just have
David.
that mystery in there, whether or not you're going to get away with it.
Yep. The 6-pounders up there, and they're
Right.
There are 5 hexes. It looks like.
yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're shooting here at this one. Did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only one that's in there. Well, I guess they could shoot over there, but
Yeah.
no, I'd rather shoot
Okay.
there.
So
1 to 2.
well, just roll the dice and see what you get.
Yeah. No.
Nothing.
Well, you'd get to shoot back, except of course he's out of range.
Yeah. Well, I've got guns there. Though.
There was but oh yeah, okay, sure. The one hex of artillery of howitzer can shoot back.
Right, and I don't think I can actually do anything to you because
Nope.
I'd have to get 2 hits on him, right?
You would have to get 2 hits at that distance. Yes,
Yeah. So I don't think that's possible.
probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. Good times.
All
Good
right, so
times.
now it is the movement time.
Right.
Time
Yep.
for a moving
Time,
experience.
time
Right now,
for. Yes.
um, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Yep.
There you-
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
All right. So we go that to there.
And he probably gets an absolutely hopeless shot against you, but probably not, because what? He's only got one strength point to fire. It's only going to be worth 2. Never mind.
Why do I
Opportunity.
only get 2 strength points?
Because you only get 2 strength points because you're shaken,
Okay. And then
and
because it's
Half.
then it's half
it's
because
only
it's
half,
right.
so it's only 1 strength point times 2. It's 1 to 5, so it's no
Okay.
hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No worries.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. We'll move this guy up there.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Why not?
Why literally the heck not?
Let's see. And the angles guy here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, where do I want him? Yes. There would be fine.
Right?
And
You know, move those shaken Holstein musketeers forward.
am I?
I don't know. Just asking the question.
It sounds like the king is giving you an order.
It's the
But
merest of
it's
suggestions.
but it's one of those passive aggressive, like, have you thought about this? That's his very, gentle way of saying, move that guy forward. Come on.
Where would you suggest for that?
I don't know. I would just get him a little bit closer so it's easier for him to get into the mischief. That's all. And obviously, you could keep Trescow and Braunschweig with him, so he'll have an excellent chance of rallying at the next opportunity. I don't know.
He's got 2 movement points, basically, right?
Well, he's got 4 movement points. He's got full movement.
Oh, yeah.
That he's not disordered. He
Okay.
is but shaken. Obviously, there's good reason not to put him in harm's way straight away. Just have
Right.
him somewhere where he could do something useful when he's feeling a little bit more manly. Yeah, I mean, for example, you
Yeah,
could just as an example, you could move him, say, 2 hexes southeast, because there's a better than 0 chance that shaken unit that's directly south of him is going to run away. It would be nice if there was somebody who could cover the spot.
true.
Just thinking, just ideas.
Yeah.
It's hell being the king.
What?
Heavy lies the weight of the
4.
crown.
Like that might be.
Well, that would be another way. Sure, why not? Yeah, sure, why not?
And
All right, and
if I want to, let's.
oh yeah.
So everybody's in command other than the guy that's running for his life back.
Yeah, and he's hopeless anyway. So
yes, I think that will do it for the.
close assault.
Or we'll go to next. We'll move to close assault, and I guess we'll do do a close assault here. Where's the thing? Isn't there an assault marker?
Oh, I don't know. I never use them, but
Well, you just ping it. I mean, it's not like you're doing 5 or 10 or 20 close
it's not like,
assaults, all right?
not like we're gonna forget.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah.
the assault, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Is that the only one? You gonna do any others? It's perfectly okay if you don't. Just asking the question because you need to declare them all before you roll for any.
So the other one would be 2.
I'm not really convinced that's a great idea. It's tempting because he's shaken, and so it's tempting to go ahead and take a shot at him. But then you have to advance, and then you
Yeah.
get your flanks out in the air.
Yeah, I like more where he's
Flanks
Yeah.
out in the air.
Right.
All right,
So
we'll
that's fine.
just do
All
the
right.
one.
All
All
right.
right. We'll
Go
do
ahead,
the one.
roll.
Do the one. Roll them bones.
All right. So what's the
You
Well,
just
this will be
roll. You
what,
make a morale
plus-
check. You've got a plus
plus-
7 because
plus
of
7.
the army
Right.
morale.
the morale check? Boom. Oh.
Oy vey.
So they're
That ain't
going to be
gonna do it.
shaken.
They're shaking.
We're all
The
shaking
Nazis
and
are going to
staring
hit
at
the
each
rotary
other.
impeller. Yeah. All right.
After all those good rolls.
Yeah. Well, the pendulum had to come back,
That's
right?
right. Yes, the vassal gods giveth and the vassal gods taketh away.
Indeed.
So,
All right.
or if you're the Austrians, they just take away, and occasionally
Just
they'll
keep
tease you
taking
with
away.
something. Occasionally they'll
yeah,
tease you with something good. So,
All right. Flipping leaders over. That's the end of that activation, and it is your roll, Mr. Eric.
all right. Well, let's see what we get. A 52. That's a good
That's a
one.
terrible
for
roll.
us. So even with the plus, it's still
Yeah,
one
it's still
for
2 to you.
yeah, still one for us. So, Perry and I are going to spend the next 20 minutes chatting. In
Perfect.
the other room.
Perfect.
We'll take calls
gonna-
from people, and
I'm gonna
then
go check on the chickens.
I'm joking. Perry, you've had a chance to take a look at this. Where do you think is a critical spot for us to try to do something?
Well put, Perry.
Perry is communicating via semaphore. Or like many of the people that watch this, he's fallen asleep.
Come on, man. We've got some serious action going on.
We
here.
do. It's
I'm
terribly
still
exciting.
trying to figure out
There you
fire. So I don't know who these are. We have a series of cavalry over on the left, 6/6s. What are they? O'Donnell Cuirassiers.
Right. Oh, these guys here?
Can we put?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that we charge these fellows over here.
Oh, well, that's
Wow.
an interesting
Right.
idea. That's very
I-
bold.
I just really think that's spectacular.
Well, so if we were to do that, so let's talk about this, and it's
You
fine
did
that
ask, by
it's
the way.
fine that Michael and the rest are here because they can sort of help answer the questions. So they've got some cavalry back here, right? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm doing a charge or even a movement through these hexes that are within 2 of these guys,
Yeah.
right? You could
Yeah.
intercept me potentially. You'd have to make them round
Yeah,
check or whatever.
yeah. You'd have to stay, out that away
Right.
in order to avoid immediate trouble. But let's be sure you will have found trouble because the minute your flanks are out in the air, then you're going to get crushed by those guys.
Right. So while it's a great idea, and we might be able to do some damage to certainly this guy, right? Because
Yeah, for
we'd hit
sure.
him in the flank,
Right.
and then we could even do something where we hit this guy, we catch him in the flank, type of a thing. Then these cavalry are they're just out there in the great wide nowhere
Yeah.
with
They're
not enough
probably
backup
disordered. Yeah.
to help them out. And
Right.
then he's got cavalry superiority over there. So these are some of the last remaining decent Austrian cavalry that haven't already gotten blown to crap yet. And
In that
so,
part of the board.
yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah.
therefore, I'm kind of saving them for a rainy day. And I don't know that they're going to necessarily turn the tide with an attack here. Although it is going to force him to hold some of the cavalry back to deal with the potential threat.
Sure. That's why they're back there.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Yeah,
therefore
absolutely.
they're doing a job
That's
just
right.
by being there.
That's right.
And so even if we don't use them, it's forcing the Prussian player to keep some cavalry back to protect the flanks of his infantry as they come forward.
Yeah. And kind of forcing us to stay further east.
Right, as
You
if
know,
the 12 pounders weren't enough of an incentive to do that.
well, as it turns out, that's another
Yeah,
concern. Yes.
but yeah, so that's a good idea. But I don't know that we necessarily want to do that because then we would have lost those last good cavalry units. In all likelihood, they get chewed up. And I think we should be able to kind of deal with this infantry just with our infantry and additional stuff that we've got. So I think we'll be okay. Just managing it with the infantry that we have and save that cavalry for another day. Any other spots that you think might be a good opportunity to activate or do something with?
Well, the only other thought I had is that here in the middle of the line are those two artillery, or I don't know if it's a stack of artillery. That's a couple of artillery units. Would it help by firing on these moving units up above them?
Are you talking about these units here? Is that
So, yeah, those units
okay?
firing on the Fink Grenadiers
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and Chorsky Grenadier Prussian, etc.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Sure.
so they can fire. So we could activate that artillery anytime. So we could
That's
pick a
right.
command out on the left or the right flank, and we could still fire those artillery pieces.
That's right.
Now we couldn't necessarily fire the infantry units that they're stacked with unless we
Right.
activate that command. If we activate that command, then yes, then we could fire the infantry and the artillery. But we could, if we wanted to, activate any other command that's out there on the map. And the artillery, because it's an independent unit, it can fire anytime
That's right.
you like.
Right.
So
So it's true that firing them, especially because the guys in front of them have already moved, firing them makes all the sense in the world because the enemy's as close as they're going to get. But the real question is, what command do you activate while you're firing them? Because it could be the infantry command that they're with, could be completely different, and we're kind of back to the fundamental question:
right.
what
What
command
in
do
terms
we
of
want to
command?
activate?
What choices of command?
So
Well,
at
let's
this
see,
point, we could activate anything because there's nothing that's happened yet on the Austrian side. So we
Right.
have any number of options.
So we got
We could
this.
activate the center here where the infantry were, although seeing kind of what's happened, we've got a sense of. I mean, at this point, he doesn't have any more unless he gets a special result, which
Right.
allows him to do something with the infantry a second time,
Right.
then I'm not worried about him doing something more with this infantry this turn. So that section of the front can we can kind of come back around to it later. And so usually, since I'm here on the defense, what I'm looking at as far as when I'm making choices is, okay, where do I have a bad situation that I might be able to put myself in a better spot before he gets his activation? So, for example, out here with my cavalry out on the right wing, I've got a whole bunch of guys that are shaken and disordered, and they're all in terrible positions and everything else. And so it might behoove me to do an activation with these guys to maybe put them in a better situation, a better formation, a better better lineup before they get their activation to do something with all these light cavalry out here. So that's one way that I could get that activation, would be to use it over here to try to fix something. Or if I'm biding my time, I could move reinforcements, or I could move something that's behind the line and basically give him a chance to do something and then react after he's already done it. So there's a couple of things as far as how, when you're doing these things, trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to wait and see what he does over on this side before I react? Or do I want to take an activation and, do something proactive so I'm in a better defensive position, for example? So those are some ideas. So since I'm looking at this part of the line, I'd like to try to do some sense of salvation over here, or keeping it so it's not a complete cluster. I think what I'm going to do is activate Mohawk, who is with this group of cavalry out on this end of the universe. And I do have some guys that are disordered. So he's actually stacked with somebody who's disordered, so we can delete that. And then I've got some others to roll for. So this guy is disordered, and so just roll and see what we get. A 21, he's going to stay disordered. And this guy is disordered. Let's roll for him. A 96. Well, he's feeling better about life. If I could get the right. There we go. Let's see. Do I have anybody else who is unhappy? That guy is routed. I don't know that I have anybody else that is part of his command that's out of sorts just yet. Okay, so what I want to try to do with these guys is, if I were to do a line back up into the woods, it's just a regular check for the line backup, right?
It would be a regular check for the line backup. It would be, whatever the cost of the woods are plus 1.
Okay. So it's not like doing the line back up into the woods does more. If I were to do a second turn or a move or whatever else, then right, I would make a disorder check for...
Well, or for, this example doesn't really make sense, but for what it's worth, if that hex were empty, for example, and you wanted to line back up and then advance into that hex.
Okay.
Well, now you've both done a line back up and you've moved in and out of a woods hex. So you'd have modifiers for both on your disorder check.
Because you make the disorder check at the end of all your movement, right?
That's right, exactly. Okay. It's only one check. It's just a bigger check because you've done more things that cause trouble.
Okay. Now, if I were to do a line backup into this hex and then they disordered, then
Everybody
then the whole
disorders.
stack is disordered,
That's
even though
right.
these
Yeah,
guys
because
didn't do squat.
that's right. Because
Okay.
because you could just imagine the confusion. You get one group of guys all disordered, and then it's just chaos
Right.
as they all try to get themselves. So yeah, the entire hex has the status of shaken, disordered. It's not individual units that do.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to double check. So I'm going to
Mhm.
have this guy line back up into this hex here. And
Okay.
then if he used to turn one vertex, then
Yep.
that would then modify it by, is it a +5 or a
I think it's
plus?
another 5. Just take a quick look, but it should be another 5. Here I am looking under disorder checks.
So it says +5 for each hex of triggered
Yeah,
terrain.
right. And then it's probably another +5 for the line backup, isn't it?
I didn't see where it
is.
says,
Yeah.
but I guess that would be for a hex, right?
Uh,
Because it doesn't say anything
yeah.
specifically, but it's +1, so it would be like a +10, +5 for
Yeah.
the hex that he moved back, and then +5 for the turn.
right. So under movement actions, it says that the disorder check can be triggered by any of these issues. So you're right. So rapid march, pass through, line back up, all of those things. Line backup is enough to do 5, and then it'd
Okay,
be another 5 for the fact that you've then turned as well.
right.
So it'd be plus 10 altogether.
Okay, and then if he used rapid march, it would then be, just for example, another +5, so it would be like
Yeah,
+15 or
absolutely.
whatever.
Yeah, if you moved, if you turned 2 hex points instead of 1, well, then that's going to be plus 10.
Right.
If you moved in and out of 2 woods hexes and then turned right, that'll be plus 15 because you've done 3 things now.
Oh, so
But
if I were to do line backup to there, because how many line backups can I do? So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 movement points.
you probably 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I mean you could. Well, it looks like you could do it 3 times
Okay.
according to that, right? Because you would have done that, and then every hex of line backup would add plus 5
Okay. So
to.
I could be there instead, and then I'm making my disorder check here. So if they failed,
Yeah,
it doesn't impact that guy.
yeah, sure, you could
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
It'd be plus 10 for line backup twice, if that's what you'd like to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking of. So that way I can that's just makes more sense. But I was worried that I got to make a check here and a check there, but it's just a case where I make the check there. Okay.
Yeah, but since they're cavalry and they're both facing in the same direction, there isn't a pass through event happening. And you're right. The check happens at the end of your movement, which is kind of good news, kind of bad news, right? The good news is you get where you're going. The bad news is it's only then that you find out if you're disordered, which sometimes is bad news if you're advancing. In your case, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever,
Right.
because you're withdrawing.
Right. Good. Okay. Well, that let me just go ahead and roll for him and see if I can get that done. And he's
Nope,
happy,
fine.
so that's
All
not a
right.
problem. Let's go ahead and move some other people around then. So I'm thinking I got to get some other people. So if I just go across the creek and I just move a single hex across the creek, that's enough to trigger the disorder check.
Yeah. Hex sides are that's they're hex sides. You can't help but cross them.
Right.
Right?
No,
It's not like a
yeah.
hex where you could literally just step in and you're okay, but crossing a hex side, you're always going to have to roll.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious about that. All right. Well, let's move some other people around in the meantime then. So I'll move this chap. He's going to come here. So that's going to be 1. And then that's going to be, I guess, a half. And then he's going to go into line, and that's going to be then 2.5, and then 3 to get him into this hex here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
All
he's just
right.
going to go right there and make
Okay.
that a bigger target for you.
Perfect. Wish I
Yeah.
had more guns over there.
Yeah, exactly. This is why you need horse guns at some
Or
point in
maybe
time.
an A10.
Always handy to have those around.
Totally.
Um,
Especially with all those guys lined up like that. Are
yeah,
you kidding me?
yeah. If this chap here, for whatever reason, just for example, if he were to,
Mm-hmm.
he's in column and he were to move
Yep.
through this hex, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
considered a pass through because these guys
It
are in
sure
line and those
is.
guys are in column? Okay.
That's right. So both of them would end up having to roll for a potential for disorder.
Right. So
Yeah.
I would want to put him into line
You
before
certainly
I
could.
move.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
but if I
You
move him
certainly.
into here, then he is shaken. I mean, he's already disordered, and these guys are shaken, and
Yeah.
so then the whole hex is shaken and disordered.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's so rare to actually move through a shaken hex, but I think it happens immediately. I think it's just the mere presence of you being disordered would cause him to be disordered, and him being shaken would cause you to be shaken, and now you're both shaken and disordered.
Okay.
It's possible that that's not true. I usually just try to avoid it when I can, but I don't know. Here I am just making sure.
Well, and that's why I thought I would ask. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
necessarily that I
totally.
intend to do it, but I
Right, right,
thought
right. It's
it
an interesting
it
question.
it it would be. I know that if I stayed in that hex, then they'd both be
Well,
shaken and disordered
very
because yeah.
definitely, yeah, very
But the act
definitely
of
at that
passing
point.
through, does that mitigate things in some way? That's what I'm curious about.
Uh,
So
like, well, yeah. Here we go. Uh, automatic disorder. Uh, boy, I'm struggling looking for exactly where it says it. I'm not 100% sure. Um, when a disordered unit enters and exits a hex occupied by a non-disordered unit, a pass-through has occurred, and both the moving and non-moving units must make a movement actions disorder check. Well, that would seem to suggest that it's not automatic simply by your presence in the same hex at the same time during the movement.
okay.
In that case, because you were disordered and he wasn't, you'd both have to roll disorder checks
Right.
because of the pass through. Um, but if you didn't stay, then it's not necessary that you would take that. Let's see. When a stack makes a disorder check, the top non-artillery unit is used. If the unit fails, the entire stack is disordered. Uh, when a disordered stack splits, each unit is disordered, of course, because everyone is. When a disordered unit stacks with an ordered unit, the stack is disordered. Likewise, if an ordered unit stacks with a disordered unit, the stack is disordered. But I'm taking that to mean at the end of movement,
Right.
because otherwise that previous comment about a pass through doesn't make any sense, because there'd be no need to roll for a disorder on pass through if it was automatic.
Right.
So looks like you're taking a chance, but you could pass through and roll and see what happens.
Right. Okay. I was just curious how that works. Not necessarily
And
what
by
I'm going to
golly,
do,
if
but
you look for a couple of minutes and it's all there. That's what's so amazing about
well, and
this.
that is the beauty of the whole thing. Let's see. We've got
Mhm.
William Orenz checking in from Kitchener, Ontario.
Oh, lovely,
And Nordic
lovely.
Maelstrom is saying hello to everyone. So greetings, everybody
Nordic.
out there in the wider universe. Okay, so
Wow.
I'm going to go ahead and move this guy then. So he's
Hmm.
going to move half, and then that's going to be 1.5.
That's
And
right.
if he goes into, if he turns, well, Yeah, he can turn. Let's see if I can find the right command for that. So that's going to be 2.5.
Is it 2.5 that way?
3. Well, he's already at, so he was at one and
Oh,
a
he
half
was at
there.
1.5, so it's
And
just
then he
one.
turns,
Okay.
right? So then he's at 2.5. So now he's at 3. And then
Okay.
he's going to move here, and that's going to be 4.
Okay.
And he's done. And then, as I said, I don't know that I got any other guys that are part of Mohawk. So then I'm going to move Mohawk over here. And do I need to move anybody else? 1, 2, 3, 4. Everyone should be in command. I guess I will turn this guy so we have some semblance of what looks like a line. Okay, good. And I'll flip him over, and that is... Oh, I do want to do some shooting, though, while I'm in the neighborhood.
No, very good.
So Perry had a great idea of firing the guns. So we
Sure,
can
why not?
fire the guns. So Perry, I'm going to
Yeah,
have you fire the guns. We should have done that at the beginning of the activation, but
Oh, yeah, we
since
should
it
have.
does not materially impact where we were,
Nope.
we can go ahead and do that. So Perry,
Who should?
go ahead. Who do you want to? Which guns do you want to fire? We got a couple of them here that are right in a great spot to take a pot shot at some of his
Let me
guys.
ask this. There's a 9-4 lead Fusiliers. What kind of a threat do they represent?
So that the guy that's right here,
They're going to consume a lot
Yes.
of black powder. That's the kind of threat they are.
right? So they've got 3 increments left. They're pretty. Is it 3 or? Yeah, they've got 3 increments
Mhm.
left.
Mhm.
So there's not a whole lot left to them, but they are kind of blocking our fire
That's
from
right.
these 2 hexes, right?
That's
So
right.
this artillery is actually in these 2 hexes. So if we were to fire out this way or fire out this way, we are going to be firing at this howitzer unit is going to be not
Right.
terribly effective. So it
Right.
makes sense that they're going to just point blank fire at this guy. They're going to get a better result than they would firing at
Mhm.
somebody else. But then this guy, we have a choice of targets, right? We've got this guy or this guy that we could fire at.
All right. Well, why
Now,
don't we try the point person there?
do both hexes fire at once on that?
Yeah, because I think they're still considered to be a unit, and
Okay.
even if, that's a fair question. But actually, you know what? At this hex range, it doesn't matter, because remember, the only reason that units can't fire together, artillery units can't fire together, is because they're often firing at more than their maximum range, or their minimum range. But they can fire together if they're at closer range. So even if you thought of them as 2 units, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're just going to have it's just a 1-to-1 shot, and since
Okay.
he's got 3 increments or less, it's going to be a -5 on the die roll.
Right. Okay.
So go ahead and roll the double dice and see what we get. An 80.
Oh, that is exactly the number you needed. No, it's not. I'm sorry. You could have rolled a 75. It still would have worked. But regardless, it's a loss.
Okay, so it's 1 hit and it's a morale check for them because
right.
it's an even number.
That's right.
But you guys get to return fire, right? Because it's a 8-0, right?
Oh, indeed it is. Indeed it is. So yeah. So of course, there's only what 2 times. So it'd be. They've only got 6 strength points
Fusiliers.
firing back, so it's going to be. And here I am just double checking. Is
So
it
it's
before?
times
Is it
3, so
considered?
it's going
Is
to
it
be
considered to be simultaneous?
Yeah,
I'm
that would be
looking.
my question.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not sure.
looking.
well, it's either
Return fire.
it's either 6 or it's 9.
That's right. Yeah. Target unit takes the option to return fire. Must be capable of fire combat. Return fire is executed exactly like regular fire combat upon completion of the return. Oh, I know why it doesn't say. It doesn't say because in the standard rules, there's never any impact to the defender
Right.
when the return happens. So now I'd have to look in the optional rules and see which it is. Let's just go ahead and roll and see what we get,
Well,
just to keep moving.
well, David rolled a 31 for the morale check, but he rolled a 96 on the return fire.
Well, that's an interesting choice.
So
Because
the
that means
question
he
is-
almost certainly is now shaken, for one thing.
Yeah.
But so then the question is was that a 96 at 1 to 2, or was that a 96 at 1 to 1.5? And I am still looking for those. There is the optional rules right here. Just one moment, and I will have us an answer. It is
Really wouldn't matter, but
It might not. Yeah.
still would
Okay.
lost.
Return fire result is applied after all the effects of the first fire have been calculated. So it was at 1 to 2.
Okay, that's still a single hit.
Yep.
And
Okay.
because it was even, it's a morale check for me, or actually, I should say it's a morale check for Perry.
Yeah, make him pay. Make him pay. All right, so you've already taken that.
Yeah,
step
I already
loss,
added
income
the
loss?
hit to
All
it,
right,
yeah.
very good. All right.
So
All right,
Perry, make a morale
Perry.
check, and we'll just roll the dice and see what we get.
All right.
2 dice.
An 85.
Ah.
So we're
We
we're
don't even
fine.
need to do the math.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now you've got your 6-pounders. You can go ahead and fire them, and you just pick which target you want to hit. We don't
Got 2
have,
choices.
yeah, and at a range
The
of
foremost bottom.
So you can flash if you press the Alt key and then you left click on the mouse. It brings up a little flashing red circle. Okay, so you're going to hit that guy. Okay, and
Perfect.
so at the range of 3, our 6-pounders are times 7. So it's going to be 14 to 10. So it's a 1-to-1. So go ahead and roll. There's no modifiers that I'm aware of. 21 at 1-to-1 is going to be a
And
miss.
that means the cannons blow up. I mean, it should mean that. Be disappointing if it didn't, really.
Well, I'm glad to see that it doesn't matter whether Perry's rolling the dice or I'm rolling the dice. The Austrians suck across the board. So
Very
it's
nice.
Definitely.
I
Here I
just
was
want
thinking,
you to
it's
remember,
got to
though,
be me. It's got to be me. No,
no. What you're doing is you're taking one for the team here. You know, the worst thing that happens is like when a 7-game series only goes 4 games, right? Because then all the sponsors lose out on all those extra eyeballs watch. This is the same thing. If you didn't roll terribly, the Prussians would be wiped off the map in no time. And then we'd lose all of our viewers.
We would just have to jump on to a different game, right? We'd have to play what, Zorndorf or who knows what's
I guess so.
Luthen or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, God, Zorndorf. That'd be a riot. Okay. Yeah, Zorndorf would be a hoot.
Yeah, let's see here.
but,
Nordic Maelstrom says, in the process of setting up June 16th, 18th Waterloo campaign from Napoleon's Last Gamble.
Ooh.
That should be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't,
sure.
yeah. This is the time to be doing it. It's the
Mhm.
what, 209th anniversary.
But who's
So-
counting?
Oh, and then Nordic says, did the Austrians remember to supply real bullets and cannonballs to their troops? No, they did not.
Real bullets are so expensive.
Yes, exactly, exactly. All right. Well,
I
I'm
mean,
glad
there's
to hear
only
that
so
everyone is
many.
everyone's enjoying the fun here. The fun
Absolutely.
never
There's
stops.
only so many church roofs you can melt down into bullets.
And only so many,
Green
you know, what was it, bronze domes that you can melt down and make into cannons and whatnot, or altar
That's
pieces
right.
or whatnot. So,
Exactly.
all right.
exactly.
Well, I've rolled. You've rolled. It's over to David to
Must
roll.
be David to
Yeah.
roll. All right. David to roll.
David to roll. Rolling.
A 31.
That is
So that's
one
going to
for
be
the bad
one for
guys.
us. So once again, we have options
More
for
bad
what,
guys.
for what we want to try to do. So we could do something potentially over here with these poor cavalry that are all ground to hell. We can do something here in the center with our infantry that is potentially having fun. Or we can do something else. So let's see what would be good. I'm thinking.
Oh, there they are.
Let's see what's going to be fun.
Boom, 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 boom.
We could try to extricate our cavalry over here somewhat. So let's go ahead and activate poor Haddock and what's left of his
Oh, poor Haddock.
His command.
Alas, poor Haddock. I knew him well.
Oh yes. 'Twas a man of infinite jest.
Those 19 years of education were not wasted on me.
All right, so we got people that are disordered that we need to roll for. So Perry, I'm going to have you just roll like hell. I want lots of big numbers. So let's go ahead and let's deal first with this poor guy who's right out here in the middle of trouble.
And he's going to be plus 15 because he's in an
15.
enemy zone of
Yep.
control. Yep.
So you need to roll somewhere above 40 something, probably in the 50s would be great. So go ahead and chuck. Oh,
job
God,
done.
Miracle
Job
happens.
done.
A miracle.
Miracle. And it was a Christmas miracle.
It was a Christmas miracle. Good. We got more people that need help. Go ahead and roll for this guy in the woods. Being in the woods doesn't help you with the disorder roll, but it'll help him with his shaken roll, correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes.
Okay. So is it just a minus 10 for being...
71.
No, it's always plus 5 for any recovery from disorder roll.
All right. Well, you rolled a 71, so that's good enough. We're going to keep you around. Oh, come on. I'll eventually get it.
Lieutenant is not battle hardened.
Yes, apparently so. All right, we got another chap back here. Go ahead and roll for him.
Okay.
An 80. Oh my gosh. I'm going to keep you around, Perry. All right, and last but not least, we got this chap over here. Nope. All right. Well, not bad.
Robert.
3 out of 4 ain't bad. Do we have anybody else? I don't know that we've got anybody else that's part of that command who is in trouble. Everybody else is part of a different one. Okay, so what we need to try to do is consolidate this group in some way, shape, or form so that they can maybe achieve something. So moving through the woods is going to, if they even move 1 hex, is that going to trigger then a... Oh.
No, one hex is okay. As long as you simply move into the affecting terrain, it's not a problem. It's if you move in and do anything.
Okay. So
you
if
need
they're...
to have done 2 things.
Okay. So if they were to turn and then they were to...
move,
that
would be enough.
Then that would be it. That would trigger it.
That's right. Yes.
Because they turned in the less than optimal terrain.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. And these guys are all, I mean, for the most part, they're all shot to crap anyway. Which is the way we like them. So, this guy, however, is in a precarious position, to put it mildly.
Bit of a bind.
Yes,
really.
A bit of a nipple twister there. Let's see. Let's move this guy up first, who's back here. His decision's really easy. That's going to be 1, 2, and then we'll start to move him across. So we're going to just move him up here, and then we will We'll put him in line like that, all one increment of him, getting ready to man the last bridges. All right, and then we can move Haddock. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we can move Haddock here. Everybody's then in command. All right, this guy, if they're shaken, can they still do line backup?
Yeah, you can't if you're disordered.
Right.
You can if you are shaken. Yes.
Okay. All right. So he's going to do a line backup here, and I guess you
Now-
could opportunity charge.
Absolutely.
I get to
So
actually-
pick who you want to have or multiple people you want to have.
Uh-oh. And the opportunity charge occurs in the hex that he's
Here,
coming from, right?
Here I had the pages open right here. The conditions that trigger opportunity fire are the same as those that trigger opportunity charge. I think we recall from Prague that it seemed a little strange, although it's a little less strange in this case, that the mere intent to move within 2 hexes is enough for you to declare an opportunity charge and actually to be able to charge in advance of the movement itself. Do you remember when, I think, Eric, you had some guys at 2 hex range and you wanted to back up?
Right.
And Matthew's ruling was that the opportunity charge is permitted to move forward the 1 hex and engage you even before you move away. So,
Yep.
so I would assume the same thing would be true here, that
Yep.
literally before you even leave the hex, he could hit you.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, he's
And when I-
basically
and when I
doomed
say
anyway.
he, I mean either of those 2 blue units.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only difference is where are you? And you're still in the original hex.
Okay. Well, whatever you
You've
guys
simply
want to do.
declared that you intend to move.
Right.
And that's enough. So
Yeah.
now it's a question of
Right,
if he
yeah.
chooses to act, and if so, with which units. And by the way, and this is kind of very generous in this regard, if he elected to go with one of these units and it fails, he could then subsequently elect to go with another one.
Oh, well, if that's the case.
That's different than close combat,
Yeah.
where you have to declare everything in advance. It is a little different
Yeah. I'll just leave him where he is because.
because he's a dead man.
Yeah, he's
walking.
a dead man anyway. So
Yeah.
there's no point in speeding it up any.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So that concludes things for poor Haddock. Haddock in the paddock.
I knew him well.
Indeed.
Hmm.
All right, Perry.
Alrighty
It's
then.
time for you to roll the dice. So you're rolling 2 dice. Okay, so it's back over to the Prussians, and
Doing
it's a
so very well. It's a wing activation
it's a wing
again
activation.
for the Prussians.
So well, while you guys think about what you want to do,
Yeah, let's. we're gonna
Nordic
go
Maelstrom
to-
is saying you're playing a game set in the age of horse and musketry. So if no one is having a good time, that is a problem. We're all
I don't
having
know,
a good
man.
time. We're all having
There's a
good
heck of a
time.
lot more laughing than crying in
Yeah,
this game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah,
William
absolutely.
Aron says, no, that good dice roll was a summer solstice miracle. Okay, not a Christmas miracle. You're right. It's summer solstice. It's just around
sorry.
the corner.
Terrible
So
sorry.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
alienating our pagan viewers here by
Well, and you know, this battle was on June 18th, so we're coming right up on it.
oh, okay. Yeah, so we're
Did
in the
you have
ballpark.
any idea? Yeah,
I knew
look
it
at
was
that.
summertime.
Yeah, no, I
Let's
just
see.
didn't know it was the 18th.
Yeah. So Nordic Maelstrom asks, out of curiosity, what is the name of this game and can you still get a copy? So this is Kolin. It's from the Battle of the Age of Reasons. It was printed back in the
93.
mid 1990s. Yeah, 1993. It was the first one of the series.
That's
They
right.
have not republished it. You
Right.
can find copies available for sale on eBay and probably
Yeah.
BGG
Yeah.
Marketplace and probably Facebook
Consim
Consim Marketplace.
marketplace.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's I mean, it'll require a little patience. There aren't that many copies out there, but they do come up. They do. You just have to kind of keep some keep some lines in the water and see what you can find. Beautiful game. Three
yes.
maps. Three maps. Rick Barber,
Yep.
craziness on the map, and so it's a fun one. The funny thing about, and maybe it's just kind of my own mentality about this, but when I had Luthen out on my solo table, it's four maps. It's four
Wow.
maps. If I didn't have a 4 by 8 foot table, there's just no way, right? And yet, really, there aren't that many units. I mean, if you zoom out even on this battle, right?
Right.
I mean, compare it to an East Front game, like you're playing, I don't know, Russian campaign or whatever, right? I mean, there's a ton of units. You got this solid line of units from Leningrad down to Crimea. And it's not as many units as you think, even though it's a ton of room on the board.
Right.
So anyway, so it's a beautiful game. Looks lovely out on the board. It's made this really rough, kind of old style, old timey paper.
Yeah, it's the
The board
paper is
itself
really
is.
lovely. It's got a nice sort
Hmm.
of brownish or tan patina to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this was the style that Clash of Arms put out. I mean, the artwork is the same that you're going to see on many of the Labatai games that came out during the same time period.
That's right.
Because it's
That's
Rick
right.
Barber who's doing all of that, and they're using the
That's
same
right.
paper stock. So, well, cool. Well, you guys already knew what you were going to be doing. So, which wing are you activating now?
David.
Well, do you have any wing thing that would be better than?
Do I have a wing thing that would be better? I mean, given that he's activated both of his units over there, and therefore there's not as much rush as there would have been otherwise. I mean, I guess I don't have to, but I could. Who could I do? Who could I do? Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo. I'm just looking. Yeah, I mean, I could. I could activate Bevern and just go ahead, shoot some stuff. It'll be fun. But we could do Zeton. Either one would be fine. I mean, I'd be happy to go either way.
I have a quick question for you. Can we go down to?
Yeah, yeah. All right.
It's
Today,
always something technical there. So
something.
all right. Well, let's see. Nordic Maelstrom says the game definitely appeals to me. About half of my wargame collection takes part in the age of horse and musketry. The entire 200 years or so period is quite fascinating to me, at least. So yeah, this is, as I said, I'm used to playing Napoleonic battles, and so getting into these battles of the Age of Reason, you've got Frederick the Great, you've got all these different things. I'm not as well versed in the history of this time period. I'm not as well versed in the kind of stuff. So it's kind of forced me to do some research, and there's there's a series of fantastic YouTube videos. A fella with a channel called House of History has put together a whole series on the 7 Years' Wars. He might even have some stuff from the battles or the War for Austrian Succession, which happened, a dozen or so years before the 7 Years' War. And that's where I've gotten most of my information on this time period from watching some of those videos. But I know Michael has done some more research, and I know there's a number of books that he has read that cover this in a lot of depth. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And the game system, as I mentioned in my comment back to you, is challenging to kind of get into because it is very, very detailed. But the upside is the rules are very well written. We've had many occasions where we've had a situation develop, and we can find the rules clearly articulated in the rule book, and so that's very nice. And so therefore, that's that's a kind of a good thing, all things considered, as well. So let's see. Nordic Maelstrom says, I play other periods like Great Battles of History and World War II games, but my true interest has always been 7 Years' War through to the American Civil War. Yeah. Well, that covers a ton of stuff. No shortage of stuff. You've got, the 7 Years' War, lots of stuff going on, both on the continent and here in the North American continent. You've got the Napoleonic stuff happening, and then the American Civil War, you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on too. So lots and lots and lots of things to figure out. So, yeah. Perry, what do you normally play? Is there a particular time period that you focus on?
I for the most part, I did World War II. But I have, over the last probably year, I've become really interested in Napoleonics and the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, kind of out into Bar. And while I picked up a copy of Musket and Pike, I haven't played any of that yet.
Yeah, I'd heard good things about Musket and Pike. I hadn't had a chance to play it myself. But I'd heard good things about it. I know that obviously it's dealing with, I think you've got, that's what, English Civil War and probably 30 Years' War kind of stuff. So let's see. Nordic Maelstrom says, I'd like to try GMT's Great Battles of the American Revolution at some point. Okay. I know a lot of guys play the Great Battles of the American Civil War. That's a popular series, and that's got a lot of, worthwhile stuff too. Nordic Maelstrom says, Musket and Pike is a good system, but do not trust in your cavalry sticking around once it charges. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, from what I know from some of the different battles in the English Civil War, the stuff going on with the cavalry charges and the counter charges and the cavalry then is all over the place. The one thing that at least from what I know from those battles, and in many regards, it seems very much like you could just go back to ancient times. You've got your infantry in the center, you've got your cavalry out on the wings, and the cavalry battle then kind of determines what might be happening with the infantry battle. There's some battles from this series that look very much like that because they don't have the artillery organized yet, where it's out doing what it does in later stages, particularly in the Napoleonic period. So you still have, while you have artillery, it's not really that sort of combined arms approach, rock, paper, scissors, that you get with the Napoleonic period. This is a little bit better, but as we see here, the artillery at long distance isn't really doing too much. It's maybe chipping away something here or there, but not quite as potent as in later battles.
of interesting to see as you begin to play these games and learn a little bit about the history as you go, is the transition of the style of warfare from one period to another and how it changes.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely a factor. Um, and it is interesting to see sort of the evolution of combat. And then what's interesting is if you do play the Napoleonic stuff, you can see that the Prussians are still adhering to this whole system when they go up against Napoleon in 1806, and
Right.
and the French are just running circles around them, not only tactically on the battlefield, but strategically with the sort of battalion carré, where they are moving their corps around and have support and everything else. So it's a real like steep learning curve that the Austrians, the Russians, and the Prussians all have to kind of catch up with.
All right.
And then you see later in the Napoleonic Wars, you see now all of Napoleon's enemies have adopted, what was working for the French, and so that's why then Napoleon doesn't have the ease of victory that he had earlier because because he doesn't he's up against different people that now have adopted and are using his or the French system against him. So
They've watched him run the table for a decade and a half. They're starting to wise up.
yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah.
Well, what did you gentlemen decide to do?
All right. Well,
Because this will
Zeaton's
probably be
wing.
the last one for the evening.
Oh, but a banger.
Okay.
All right. So Zeaton's
Unleash the
wings
Kraken.
go. Unleash
Oh,
the Kraken.
actually,
So,
that's an excellent
all
idea.
right. What do we
That's
got
a
here?
that's
So
a half
first
gallon of
is
rum I
he's
have
in
in the
command,
kitchen.
so no problem there. His summoner are in command, so no problem there.
So who are you
This
deciding?
guy
Are
is
you doing
not in command.
It's a wing for Zeaton.
is a wing for Zeton? Okay, so go ahead. I guess roll to see if Zeton is in command,
No,
or does it
actually,
matter?
he's within reach of the king because the
Oh,
road.
because he's on the road. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. So,
it's good to be on a road or a
yep.
You know
trail.
what? Considering all the sunken roads that have caused us all the grief, it's nice for them to help out every now and again.
There you
All
go.
right. Yeah. All right. So first is disorder checks. Whatever. So this guy is automatic over here
Yep.
because he's eating himself. Okay. He's fine. Rid of that. All right. So I think that's the only disorders I've got there. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So, Michael, he's in command, right, by virtue of this guy being in command? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean that's just regimental integrity there. So
Right.
if either of them is, both of them are.
All right. Okay. But this guy isn't, right?
No, because he's too far out.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no. So he would not be. He's going to be at half movement.
Yeah.
No, he's okay. And Olive Kata is okay. All right. So next is fire, right?
Yep.
All right. So fire. Well, we got some little 6-pounders right here that. 2, 3, 4.
Range of 5, it looks like.
Yep, range of 5.
So they are going to be times 3. So that's going to be 6 to 10.
Yep.
Who are you targeting?
Let's do this guy
Okay.
here.
All right. So 6 to 10, no pluses, no minuses.
That's nothing there.
All right.
All right. So now we got movement, right?
Yep.
What is movement across the Swedish field word?
Going over the field work is +2 for your infantry.
+2. Wow.
Yeah, that's what it says. +2 if
+2
they're
if you're in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So not going too far, and I'm sure it is enough to cause a disorder check. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, it's got a little asterisk there.
It's got the asterisk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it then. Sure.
All right.
But that's fine. I mean, whatever.
All right. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, right?
Making some omelets here. Yeah, that'd be one.
Well, let's take a look and see what that. Yeah, that looks it's just like a regular road. So,
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3.
this is a sunken road, but this looks like it's just a regular road. So,
Well, thanks, Rick.
Well,
it's
if not, that one
artistically
definitely
beautiful.
is.
It is delightful.
There, so I'm gonna do disorder checks for both of those. So disorder check there.
He's happy.
Fine. Disorder check there. Fine.
Yep.
Good.
This guy.
Now that one guy who's out of command, he can absolutely move 1 hex.
Right. That's what I was
Yeah.
going.
And frankly, if you're going to move 1 hex, well, sure, why not? Because you're going to move Hulson over this way, I'm sure. Or are you? 2, 3, 4. Whatever. It's all good. Yes, Swedish Field Works. The asterisk is enough for a disorder check, indeed. Okay, very good.
Should I move up some of those grenadiers? What are they? I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly move them up. Of course, you're going to be in the clear, so you could even wheel the 6-pounders forward. You've made yourself a big target, but he doesn't have any guns in the area anyway. So,
Well, I want to move the 12s into the 6s.
Well, I mean, okay, that's fair. You're going to be covering them with the infantry. Oh, I see. Okay, just gonna move them up for next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
And actually, okay, so.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, those grenadiers are all pretty shot up, so it's probably reasonable to make them the second line. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I could
All
move
right.
the grenadiers out to here.
Well, yeah.
All 4 increments of them.
All 4 increments of them. There's a little more than that.
2, 3. Well, there's
the other
4
guy's
movements of
not.
grenadiers.
He's not a grenadier, though.
Yeah, there's 2 fusiliers underneath the 4
okay.
grenadiers. Yeah.
That's right. All right.
Yeah, it takes 3 units, and they still don't make a large target. Isn't that something?
Hey, those are my Grenzers.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
My favorite Grenzers.
That was ugly. I hear that Matthew's got some, changes to the Grenzer light infantry rules for Lobosits, and not really sure if it's intended to be more global or if it's really intended to be just Lobosits.
When's it become a large target?
I think
8.
when it gets, well, yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, well, if you have 8 or more,
Yeah.
or more, then that's a large
Yeah.
target. Yeah.
All right. So that the Fusiliers there, I could join them up with that stack, right? And they wouldn't be a large target, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you wanted to, sure.
Okay. Let's do that.
1, 2,
Turn
3,
1,
4. Yep, easy. Yep, no big deal. Yep.
That and
I say,
then the
we'll
others
stay
of 4,
right here behind
they
you
could go
guys.
3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I could move 1 stack of the grenadiers there. Yeah, let's do that. Let's move the top grenadiers. Oh, I keep hitting the Alt key. them. Which one do I want? Oh, yes, definitely put them on top. And for this grenadier, there's only one left to him. 1, 2. This is general order, right?
It
Correct.
sure is. Yeah.
How many is that to move into there?
How much is it to move in?
Yeah, I was going to maybe add that.
Add them
The
into
walled
there.
farm, it says it costs 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah. So whether you're
Right.
in line or in march column, it's all the same.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Oh boy, I'm not sure you could get there in one turn.
Right. Now, if they go into March column, I might be able to on next turn, right?
Maybe, or if you face them that way, because that would be faster.
Yeah. If you just turn them, then the next
Yeah.
turn they can go 1, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, and they're in.
Right. All right.
And then once they're in general order, you don't have to worry about then refacing them somewhere else, right? They would then adopt the same facing as the guy that's there, for example.
Yep. That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I think the special rules from this is it's all round facing anyway, isn't it? Or am
No, when we were playing it, it was a case where we had just 3 front hexes.
It is just 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, 1, 2. See, in that case, I'm not so sure because he has to be able to adopt the facing of the unit that's there.
But okay, is now like okay. I'm thinking a lot of time. As soon as you go into general order terrain, you are in general order. There's no
Yeah,
Right,
no.
but you can't move into a hex. I mean, I'm happy to look because it's perhaps too burdensome. But when you move into a hex, if you're planning on staying there, you have to have enough movement points to adopt whatever the facing is of whoever's already there, because there can only be one facing in a hex. And that's what I'm trying to figure out here.
Well, he could just turn the other guys now. So they'd have the same facing come the next turn.
You know what? That's yeah, and that might be the answer, but it might not even be necessary because it may be that the way it describes it is that facing is. It's kind of like, for example, when artillery switches between limbered and unlimbered, it can adopt any facing,
Right.
right.
and maybe that's really what we're doing here too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But
you don't
make
have
it
to you don't have to turn him this turn anyway because he's a grenadier. He can activate whenever. So those guys are independent. They can move.
Yep. Yep.
You know, it's
Oh,
fine.
that's true. Yeah, it's true. We're
Yeah.
acting like this is part of Hulson's wing, but he really isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both independent. You can move them whenever the hell you want.
Yeah.
I'm still looking, just to clarify. Okay, I found the rule, but carry on, carry on.
Yeah. All right. So let's see if I want. Is he gonna? All right. What else is going on here?
Doesn't really say. But given that it already cost you 3 to move in, I'd say to hell with it. Just move in and adopt whatever facing you want. That seems reasonable to me.
All right. Now let's see. Who do I want to move next? So we want this guy here.
All right. So you're done with Holston's command, I guess.
Yeah. 2, 3.
Pulling back on the slingshot. There you go.
It's hilarious. When I play Jim Soto in Labatai, he'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to do a cavalry charge. And so I'm going to, he moves the guy back and around to this big circle, whatever else, so he can go 3 straight.
That's
just like,
right.
you know,
Absolutely.
it's kind of this ridiculous thing, but it always makes me chuckle every time he does it. Sort of
I'm
like,
glad.
you
I'm glad it does. Okay. Very good.
Oh,
What
I don't
else
think
you
you got enough. You probably need to add another dozen, units there. So
All right. 1, 2,
What?
3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna do that guy there. All right.
bringing up more boys.
Bringing them all up.
They don't want
The
to miss
only
the
way we're getting
party.
to Vienna. Only way we're getting to Vienna.
Yeah.
We hear those sausages are nice.
Have you ever had a Viennese sausage? The little tins one? They're
Oh, yeah,
absolutely horrible.
Ghastly.
Yeah.
Ghastly. Yes, I had them as a kid, and wow, even as a kid, I was like, don't know about this.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is my movement.
All right.
Yes. I want to try something. No.
Great excitement.
Yeah. All right. So movement's done. We're going to declare charges.
Okay. Go ahead and ping who's charging. I'll kind of guess that one.
All right.
Okay. Unleash the Kraken. Who are
I
you going to
guess
roll
I
for
will.
first?
Now, okay. You do all the rolls first? Is that right?
You
Yep.
gotta roll them all first.
Okay. No problem. All right. So let's roll.
So I'm curious. Do you have to have a line of sight on the enemy unit?
You have to have a line of sight to an enemy
enemy
unit you
unit,
can
okay.
reach.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be the one you're actually going to hit,
Okay.
which is part of the reason we went off to the 10.
Right.
So,
All right. So who are you rolling for first?
we'll roll for this one here.
Okay.
All right.
Special something. or other.
Shaken and disordered.
Oh yeah.
Most unfortunately, I'm familiar with that one.
Right.
Do not pass, start, do not collect
Yeah.
$200.
That's correct. No bueno por caca, as we say down here in Texas.
All right. This one here. Okay.
Well, at least
More
they're
better.
going.
Alright,
More
this
better.
one here.
More
and
better.
he's
Okay.
going.
All right.
Well,
And so,
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
yeah. So he's going to there. And the other guy unfortunately is not going in. So
Not going anywhere. All right. Well, there we go.
Well, it's pretty obvious who you're attacking. Can
Okay.
I change formation, or I can't because I'm in your
Nope.
Zoc?
You're in the zone of control,
Okay.
so you can't move. Yeah.
All right. So then I roll to see if I stand, and if I fail, then I'm going to route away, correct?
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's one of these times I'm hoping I fail.
I know, isn't that funny, right? Plus
yeah.
27.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. 43. They're going to fail.
Plus 27, that's going to be too much.
Yeah.
Oh, I say it's plus 27. It's actually, no, it's just plus 27. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he fails. Curious part about this is because contact was never made, it's just routing away. You don't lose a
Right.
strength point in route. You just route.
All right. So then he could go this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, or does he have
Keep
to go
going.
over the top of this guy first?
Actually, it.
Or are we doing the thing where I tell you 6 hexes away,
Yeah.
I'm pressing a button,
Yeah.
and then you figure out how to retreat him there?
So the thing is even if we did that, you're still obliged to follow the rule where you're always going to seek to avoid losing an increment, which means you're going to go over that guy anyway.
Oh,
Because
okay.
if he goes west or he goes east, he's going to lose an increment, and they're never going to want to do that, right?
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm. So because
Yeah.
it wasn't as a result of combat, I didn't know if I still had to.
I see.
So you're saying that even though this is a result of the melee table or the assault
Right.
table, I would still lose one going here, or I'd still lose
If
one
you're
going there.
routing through an
Okay.
enemy zone of control,
Cool.
yeah.
So then he could go here, and then he could go off to the side
That's
to
right.
avoid
No,
going
he
over the top of
absolutely
people.
could do that.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gets him over there.
All right.
All right. So then this guy's got to make a check.
Yeah, type whatever it is.
Right. It's the guy. It's a pass through, or maybe not.
No, it's a type F. Friendly unit retreats.
Okay.
F.
All right. So I'm going to have the +3 for the army morale, but a
Right.
-5 for being in the woods. So I guess it's a
Yep, -2.
2 benefit altogether. Hey, we pass.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty good. Okay. All right. And now, the attacking units, at least one of them has to move in, so he did. And so that's that. We don't do any pursuit because you're in an enemy zone of control, so you can't pursuit anyway.
Okay. Well, I got out of that easier than I thought I would.
Yeah, and David got kind of what he wanted, which was to pin the next unit.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a little bit of battle on the Somme here, but we are still making progress. We made 20 yards today, my lord. Oh, well,
There you
very
go.
good. Very good. Okay, well, that's a little disappointing to have lost out on the other one, but that's how baseball goes.
So, just out of curiosity, since the
Yeah.
thing is already passed, where was that
Yeah.
guy going to go?
He was
he was going right there.
So David, you can't move Hulson. You'd already, I mean,
Oh.
the roll to check for the assault happened
Right.
before he moved. I mean, his movement would have been
I was
done
trying-
before that. Yeah.
Now, well, he was supposed to move because I want to get his. Well, that's fine.
Well, you
So-
can move him wherever, but it wouldn't be right to put him here, like to fix the disorder,
No, I
because
understand.
you didn't know he was going to be disordered
right.
when you
Yeah, that's
when you did it. So if you want to move him,
No,
somewhere
actually,
else, that's
when I
fine with
think about
me.
it, no, I do
Yeah.
want to keep it because
Yeah.
right
if he
now,
moves any further west, that's a problem. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. All right. Well, gentlemen, I think we've done it again.
We have. We have
We,
spent a lovely several hours moving virtual pieces around on a virtual map.
gone through a couple of kegs of black powder.
We need to really work on a couple of kegs of beer or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
Although
in about a month's time, I
that's
might
true.
suggest that very thing, actually. Yes. That might be just the move on some hot August or hot
July.
July Arizona evening.
Indeed, I am looking
Yes,
forward to
indeed.
it. And here's the question, gentlemen. Since I'm going to be driving, I can
Yes.
actually bring booze um, in the car. I could load up the back of my car with
Woo!
whatever you guys want, so we don't have to be
Wow.
spending ungodly amounts of money at the bar there at the Tempe Mission Palms. So
Wow. So
if you
you want a
guys,
grocery list?
yeah, if you guys want to let me know, hey, I'm interested in,
Sweet.
this, that, or something else,
Yeah.
I would be more than happy
That's a very
to
nice
bring
thing.
some stuff out, and
Yeah. Okay.
make a bourbon and
Muling
seven.
across
Or
state
I
lines.
saw at Trader Joe's they're selling a what is it, an old fashioned, like in a bottle. It's already mixed. It's whatever. You just pour it over some ice, and you have your old
Away you
fashioned.
go. Away you go.
So I thought, oh, that might be a fun thing to bring, and we can then have something like that. I'll put it in a flask or a thermos or something, so we can be surreptitious as we pour it.
That's right. It's no, nothing strange going on
Yeah,
here.
it's
No,
just a red
sir.
cup. It's a red cup, sir.
Mhm. That's right.
Well, and I
You
was
know what they
telling Rick, I'm
call you
like,
know what they
what
call those
snacks
in
do
the
you want me to
UK?
bring? Because he's flying in.
Right.
You guys are all flying. So I'm like, I could
That's
bring
right.
snacks. I could buy pretzels, or I could buy, peanuts, whatever you guys want. I can, because if you're going to try to bring that, it's a big pain in the
That would
arse.
be silly. Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
shopping
So let
list
me
will go
know.
your way then.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to do it. So
Yeah. Mount Gay rum. Just
Ooh, nice.
is that like the most expensive rum that's around
No,
there?
it's
no,
not.
no,
Oh,
No,
okay.
no,
Okay.
but it's
Okay.
no. But it's a fine choice.
Well,
yes,
if
my favorite.
you'd ask for what is it? What's that one that when we were playing StarCraft, it was the Victory Creek, um, that whiskey that would always show up on that one map that we were playing. So that,
A little expensive, was it?
oh my gosh, yeah, Robert actually went and bought a bottle of it because we kept seeing it show up in this one. There's a
Oh,
fella
fun.
who designs maps for StarCraft.
Okay.
And so we would play them because they were particularly challenging, i.e., nearly impossible. And so he had then, most of the time when the guys create the map, they'll have a little preview of it in the preview window. And instead, he had a picture of 40 Creek, which is, I guess, a Canadian whiskey or something like that,
Okay.
and a caption that said "Drink up."
There you
And so
go.
the running joke was, after trying to play one of these maps and try to win and failing multiple times, we all felt like we needed to have a drink of of 40 Creek whiskey. So then Robert actually found a bottle of it, I guess, down at Venmo or Bevmo or whatever it was down where he lives.
Okay.
And it was like $60 for the bottle. Like, sheesh, that's a little pricey for me. But he said it was very, very good. So
Well, it's it just try not to drink half a bottle a night, and then you're okay.